Okay, so I am still continuing on with Weirdo. I haven't picked it up from the last place I left off, but I did say I was going to give it 50 more pages before deciding, and I think I'm only going to give it 25 more after When the Moon Hatched. I am very cautious now of giving too much time to something that is not exciting me, so it's going to get 25 more pages, which I'll probably read today, and I'll update you. One book that I have DNF this week is Shy Time, Cinnamon Gardens. So I was listening to this on audio and I listened to 2 hours of it. This was for a book club. And dude, I have never seen a more ill-fitting cover. The cover of this book is so misleading. It makes you think, and the title too, it makes you think that this is going to be a cozy, wholesome, heartfelt read. Dude, this is so heavy and dark. So yes, it's very much tackling the biggest issue in this, I would say, is racism. But there is a scene, and I'm going to say kind of what the scene is because it's something people should know going into it. There is a scene where one of the characters' family, that includes young children, is being brutalized by the police. So the police are torturing the children and then they rape the little girl. And no, like, as you know, pedophilia, animal abuse, like I'm out. So as soon as that scene was going down, I thought, yeah, no, man, this is only 2 hours in. It's too heavy. I don't want to read about it. I understand that, you know, for a lot of people, this would be an amazing and like dramatic read, tackling all of these like heavy topics and not shying away from the brutality. I understand, but in this certain way, this is a fictional story and I don't want to read about little girls being raped and little boys being tortured by police. Not at this point in my life anyway. Maybe later on it won't affect me, but I get too affected. It makes me like physically ill and I don't want to cause that stress to my body. So that's the thing for me. I can't compartmentalize it, so it's only mental. It affects my whole system. So I did have to DNF. I would probably skip that session of the book club. I know some people still come when they haven't read the book, but I just feel I get more out of the book club when I've actually read it, so I can really value and appreciate everyone's opinions because I can understand their opinion because I've read the story. I've got Bluebell on my lap. You can just see like a tiny little tail flick in the background. So yeah, that was not for me. I've got some other options currently on my e-reader. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, Stories of Your Life and Others, and A Woman's Story. So today is my daughter Indiana's birthday party. She's having a Super Mario / Adventure Time theme. Got a bunch of kids coming over to entertain. I did go to that NGV night with my cousin. It was interesting, but it's very loud. It's very packed full of people. And I guess I'm just an old crotchety grandma now that I just don't like, one, being out late at night. Just, it kills me. I have horrible recovery the next day. And two, being around a lot of noise, people, smells was very overwhelming. We pretty much ditched after an hour and went to Arbory Afloat, which is a floating barge bar, which was okay, but once again, just so many people and so much noise. I have to go into those with a lot of energy, I think, to have like my highest tolerance for it. Otherwise, it's just, yeah, too much. So after another hour of that, I told my cousin, I'm really sorry, but I need to go home. I can't do it. I know you're 22, you've got the youth and vigor and vitality, and I ain't got it no more. So Mama needs to get into bed and die. Like, it's been 2 days and you can still hear the croakiness in my throat. I had a massive flare up and I spent all the following day just on the couch in pain. But I'm a little better today. I had decent sleep. But I've got a whole bunch of kids coming. So a lot more noise, a lot more people, a lot more energy. I am hosting, but I'll get through it. It's not going to kill me. It's just not going to make me feel great. But we'll spend the rest of the day reading the books and chillaxing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, so party's over, it went great. And I was very impressed with the cake. So I have tried a lot of different cake places over the years, and this one was the truest to the design that I gave them. So I made the design and they did it, they executed it perfectly. I've never had a cake ever come out 100%, but they did that. And the cake itself was also good.
Hello. This cat's in the room. Oh.
So I had to take a break because the cats are being cute with Indy. The cake itself was a salted caramel crunch and it was pretty good. It's a bit sweet, but I think that's because of the flavor. The cake itself was moist. It was a great ratio of cake to buttercream. So even though fondant cakes are ridiculously expensive, out of all my experiences, I would definitely recommend this company because it was just the best one that I've had so far on all the kids' birthdays. In regards to Weirdo, no. So Weirdo is not for me. I really don't like the main character. She's really unlikable and it's not enough going for it for me to want to continue, so I will be DNFing that one. Most interesting, so I'm going to start with a woman's story. I've also, I hope that hasn't been sticking up the whole time. I never really check my hair when I do these and then I catch it. I'm thinking, oh goodness. So I've also got that Jeanette Winterson one, which I think is also a nonfiction. So it might be a bit much after reading the Annie Ernaux one, but I've also got to read this, obviously. And I think I might grab something else because I tend to like to do 4 books per vlog. So once I've gotten another book, I will let you know what that is tomorrow. But yeah, I'll start with those 2 today.
Look at me. Don't look at me. Look at me. Oh, she just did a little hop.
So I did finish A Woman's Story by Annie Ernaux. I've given it 3.5 stars. Basically, Annie tells you the story of her mother's life, from her mother as a young girl all throughout her age and the different cycles of not only her mother's life, but their relationship as they both aged. For me, what held it back from being very emotionally rich and striking was the fact that Annie chose to write in a very objective kind of tone. So that removed the connection to the people in the story for me. It was too removed. That being said, there were moments, despite the objective writing, that were really poignant, that were very resonant with me as both a mother and a daughter. I particularly loved one of the final sentences, which I think was something like, "I have lost the last bridge to the world from which I came." And that just really hit me in the feels. So there were some really lovely moments. There were some tough moments. This also seems to focus a lot on beside mother-daughter relationships and individuation and both parenting and being a child. So there was a lot about class divides, especially because her parents were lower class, working class, and as well as aging in general. So the mother does end up getting Alzheimer's and you see her decline and you see how that changes the way Annie relates to her and cares for her. And having lost multiple grandparents to dementia, psychosis, Alzheimer's, it's a journey I have witnessed firsthand. But I did enjoy it. It is translated. I think the majority of translated fiction I've read, it's always a very simple language. But like I said, there was a very removed tone that Annie was using to not be, I guess, too coloured by her own emotions and perceptions of her mother. She tried to just sort of tell the story of her mother without colouring it a lot with her own view. But I don't think I'd read any more from this author. It was an enjoyable story and I liked my time with it. It was a short book, but it was short but sweet. But yeah, the writing style wasn't something that I would want to look for more of. So speaking of writing styles, Jeanette Winterson, love her writing style. I am this far through, so almost halfway. Oh, this is a mixed bag. So what I love about this is Jeanette's personal bits and pieces that she intersperses throughout the story, so her own sort of summaries and point of views. However, the first portion of the book, so it's divided into portions. The first being Zone 1, the past, how we got here, a few lessons from history. This part 1, it reads like a history book. So it is very fact heavy, and I was not one for history in school, and this felt like I was back in school learning about history, and I just find it so dry. Even with Jeanette, I guess, trying to make it less dry, it was not my cup of tea, and I was getting quite bored. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I can get through the whole book if it's like this. But now we've gone into the second part, which is Zone 2, What's Your Superpower? How Vampires, Angels, and Energy Reimagined Matter. And this one is a lot more interesting because there's less like scientific and historical facts and more of Jeanette's actual writing, which I love. I love Jeanette's actual writing. So the chapter I'm on is He Ain't Heavy, He's My Buddha. So they normally start with some sort of quote. They've also got images in there as well. And it is basically looking at the evolution of human history in regards to how we ended up on this track to AI. So how different inventions and experiments and all that led us to where we're currently at. I have a feeling this is overall not going to be like a pro AI only kind of book, more about like, hey, let's preserve what it means to be human and humanity in the arts and creativity and that kind of thing. But I am going to continue on with it. So I have a feeling even if I don't like Zone 3, I still will push through to the end just so I can see what the overall gist and theme and energy of this book is. I love the cover once again, like this really speaks to me. But yeah, I am enjoying it more now. There's less dry fact regurgitation. I just am living for the Jeanette Winterson parts. So still reading this. We'll probably finish this tomorrow, I'd say. I've gotten some great books in, so I'm very excited. So I've gotten Emily Wilde's sequel to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I think it's called Emily Wilde's Map to the Other Worlds. I can't quite remember, but I'll put a picture here. So I'm also going to read that in this vlog. And also Faebound came in. So I'll be reading that one as well. So these are books that I think I was going to put on my most anticipated reads list, but didn't. Not Emily's, because I was a bit... with Emily's Encyclopedia, it was a pacing issue for me. It was quite slow and everything just kicked off in the final quarter. Plus I wasn't really that fond of Emily. I liked Bramblebee, but Emily was a bit of a dullard. But Faebound was very interesting. Just the cover caught my attention. But I decided not to put it on my most anticipated. Looking back at my most anticipated, I would redo it over. Yeah, there's a lot more books that have come out that are going to be released that I'm like, oh, that's definitely very, very interesting. But that being said, those are the 4 books that I will read this week unless something comes into the library that I have to read very quickly. But those will be the other ones. My daughters and I are now going to see Mean Girls, the revamp / musical at the cinema. I absolutely love the original. I think the original is timeless. It's iconic. I showed it to my children. They frothed over it. It is just a classic film. That's Sylvie. So I'm not a huge fan of remakes if the remake was flawless. That's how I feel. However, I will go in with an open mind. That being said, I'm also not a musical lover. I'm one of those weirdos that doesn't actually like a lot of musical numbers in movies. But I've seen interviews with Renee Rapp and I love her. She's a breath of fresh air. Adore her. So it might be great. We'll see. But once again, the original, just if you haven't seen it, watch the original. It's amazing. It's totally fetch. So I will see you guys after I watch the film. I'm actually taking the girls for a bit of a treat. I'm taking them to their first gold class session so they can see what it's like because I have a discount thanks to my internet provider for it. So we're getting spoiled today in terms of that, but I will let you know what I thought of it when I return. Do you want to take a photo in front of it or not? Okay, so girls and I just returned. Gold class food. Not that great. Really not got that really not good. So I would say bring your own snacks. Anyway, the movie. I didn't like it. So before I tell you why I didn't like it, I'll tell you the things I did like about it. So I liked the makeup. I think the makeup was really cool. The costume design was great. And I love that this had inclusivity. So it had a lot more, not just racial and sexual diversity, but it had body diversity, including the plastics, which I thought was amazing. I just would like to see all bodies across all media, and I think it's just much nicer than just seeing the same type of body spread throughout. So yeah, I was very surprised. I thought, oh, they'll make the plastics the typical body shape, but no, they did not, including Regina George. So loved that. Okay, I hated the music. I didn't like any of the songs. I really did not like the camera work. So they had this thing where they would just pan around and around, or they would zoom in and zoom out and zoom in and zoom out. And it made me have motion sickness. So the camera work was just constantly moving and I found it very distracting. I didn't think the acting was the best. That was just my feeling about it. I felt like it was less funny than the first movie. They kept some of the jokes, they cut out a lot of them, and they didn't really add new ones in. The updated, I guess more modern pop culture references, like I just don't feel like the original needed to be touched. The original is so damn good, and I've just seen it recently. I watched it with my girls a month ago and they loved it. You don't need to have that social media element in it to make it feel current. It feels current, you know? So I really don't think it needed to be redone. Unfortunately, yeah, I was hoping to be surprised and wowed and be like, actually it was really good in its own right, but I didn't like it. If I hadn't even seen the original Mean Girls, I still wouldn't have liked it. It's just not a great like teen movie. That's just my opinion. My kids also both didn't like it, so they're 12 and 9 though, so I don't think they're the targeted demographic, but yeah, it just didn't hit. It does make me want to watch the original again, even though I saw it a month ago, just to like wipe over this one. I know that's really mean, but I really didn't enjoy it. So, you know, and I paid gold class money for it, but yeah, original Mean Girls is just, it's like if someone if someone tried to make 10 Things I Hate About You again, I feel like it would be the same thing. Like, don't touch the original, let it be. It's still sick, you know, in today's day and age, it's still fire. So let's not mess with a good thing. But and that's my review of Mean Girls. I don't have any updates with books thus far, but the girls and I are going to Met Art World today to do an arts and craft activity. So I thought I'd take you along. So I thought I'd give you an update. I have read 25 pages of Faebound, and so far I am not loving it. It seems to be a military fantasy. So in the first chapters, besides the massive amount of info dumping, you're placed with the main character who seems to be a general of an army, and they're battling a long, long war between themselves, the elves, and the Fae. In this book, women feature predominantly, so even in the military, it seems to be largely comprised of women. The main character is also in a sapphic relationship. So there is like diverse queer rep and ethnicity rep. So I think the main character is a person of color. I don't know how I feel about it. So like I said, it's very info dumpy in the beginning, but some fantasies just are. I will give it 75 pages. But nothing about it is grabbing me whatsoever yet. None of the characters, the writing, or the setting, nothing's really intriguing me. So we'll see how we go with it, but so far I'm just not drawn in. The cover is cool though, it's very memorable, but we'll see how we go with that. If I do end up deciding to DNF it, I will move on to Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands next. Today was Indiana's first day of school. She has extreme anxiety when it comes to school and school refusal, so it wasn't easy getting her to go, but I managed to talk to her teacher and we sealed her in. She's sitting next to her best friend, so that helped a lot. It's just the fear of the unknown and change. It rattles her quite a lot, but I think she's going to have a good time. She's got a really caring teacher this year, one who actually listens to suggestions of how to help Indiana, because my daughter is neurodivergent and has ADHD and anxiety as well as autism. So yeah, she seems to be a lot more compassionate in that respect and willing to try things to accommodate Indiana's issues. So I'm going out with V. She starts school tomorrow, not today. So we're going to hit the shops to get the last minute things for school. Might be getting her first pair of glasses. That's obviously my bad. I was the first person in my family that was short-sighted, the very first on both sides of the family. So yeah, seems to have taken after mama and is not psyched about wearing glasses, and I get it. I'm not a big fan. Like this, you'll see this a lot on my face. That's what it's from. It's from the glasses leaving a permanent red indent and mark on my nose. But the other glasses that have the adjustable ones, I just haven't found a pair I liked. There's not many. Like, this is the first pair of glasses I ever bought that I didn't absolutely hate myself in. I just don't feel like I'm a glasses guy. But contacts are not great every day for me. I have dry eyes, so I wear them very sparingly, and also they're very costly. But that's on the agenda for today. Hopefully, you know, when Indy comes home, she had a good day. Okay, so let me sum up the rest of the books that I have finished off. So I did read 12 Bytes and I completed that. So I've got that here so I don't have to put a picture in. I'm giving it a 3 stars. So I didn't love this. It was fine. It just did feel too much like a textbook for school. And I know Jeanette Winterson has lovely, lovely writing, but it just felt like a regurgitation of facts and information rather than an entertaining way of giving you some knowledge. She did intersperse obviously some of her own opinions in, especially in the chapter about hot for a bot. So that's to do with the sex bots, how men prefer them not to be very intelligent or not to be too chatty and what that means for like feminism and the treatment of women in general. But yeah, it was fine. I didn't really come away with anything sort of thought-provoking or that really resonated with me. It was just mildly amusing and a way to pass time, I guess. But yeah, it wasn't quite what I was hoping for in terms of like her essays on a couple of topics around the subject of AI. But like I said, with all my 3 stars, sometimes they're mostly just colored by the fact that I have read thousands and thousands of books so far in my life. So anything that's 3 stars, it's worth checking out. This might be amazing for you. For me, it was mid, but it could be fabulous for you. And I decided with Faebound to DNF it at 79 pages. This just was not for me. So with this book, you have 2 main characters, sisters, both of whom are really unlikable. These ladies are not fun to read about. So you've got the youngest sister, Little, and after her older sister gets discharged dishonorably from the military and is exiled from the lands by herself, off she goes. Her younger sister, along with her older sister's ex-captain, decide to go and find her. The way that Little, the younger sister, treats Rayan, her sister's captain, awful. She is a horrid person and she's mean for meanness sake. It is just not justifiable how horridly she's treating this man. And I couldn't stand it. The fact that both sisters, so in this world, there are creatures called, I think it was called obeyers, and their like bodies and that contain magical properties. So if you hunt them and kill them and use them, you get all this magic. And these like creatures have been hunted to almost extinction. And these creatures are like very sentient, highly intelligent animals. And I have a problem with that. I did not like that. And the fact that both sisters have no issues killing these animals. So the main chick, so the elder sister, Yiren, decides that the way that she's going to reclaim her honor is by hunting and killing the biggest obeyer, I hope that's the right word, or the biggest creature that she can find, and then they'll definitely let her back in. Oh, it's just like, and then her younger sister finds a baby, one of these creatures that's been like killed, and she's like, oh, I may as well gut it and use its entrails to try and divine the future. And I just don't like it. It didn't sit well with me, the animal cruelty in this book. The fact that too, the main relationships, so Yiren's relationship that you see set up from the get-go, she's been with this woman, the chieftain of the tribe, like 15 plus years. There is a very big power dynamic in play because her lover is, the head honcho. And so when Yiren unfortunately gets a lot of her troops killed, and her lover has to, exile her, it didn't sit well with me. Like, I didn't like the relationship, and 2, Yiren had an issue with the fact that they were forcibly conscripting children into their army. So it's a thing that you can sell your child to the army to get some money. So people were just having babies so they could sell them into the army. And no, I'm not going to think anyone's a good guy that's doing that. For me, it has ethical issues. And yeah, this had just a very heavy military feel to it. The main character was a general in the army, and I'm not a big fan, sorry, of military kind of books. It's not my jam. So yeah, I after 79 pages, I read some other like 2-star and 1-star reviews, and what they were saying definitely made me go, no, it's not for me. Like even the writing style, I just did not get into it. The world building was very like kind of illogical and confusing in terms of like how things were playing out with these stones, phrase, I can't remember what they're called, that were on this battlefield that they're all fighting on because they want access to these stones so they can grow food, because it helps plants grow without sunlight, but it's like they don't live in a world without sunlight. There's the sun. It's not even cold temperatures. They're on camels. So I didn't understand the point of these stones. But yeah, the whole thing just fell apart for me, and I'm like, no, this is not for me. So yeah, did decide to DNF that. I'm going to end this vlog here because I think this one's going to be very long. So I lost track of how many books that I was talking about. Until next time, stay wild, star child.